Hey folks, Mangrel here. Welcome back to the channel, and I'm checking out the super tiny Crossfire receiver antennas. And these are so small that even the manufacturer, so Team Black Sheep, they want us to really manage our expectations, and they say this antenna completely poops onto the Crossfire protocol. For a pilot of my skill level, my biggest issue with Crossfire is not the lower refresh rate. So we know that Crossfire can do 50 or 150 hertz. That's not my biggest problem. My issue is with the Immortal T antenna and the fact that the antenna is just so large and very difficult to fit into smaller builds. So here you're looking at my 5-inch build. So I've managed to fit it into here, no problem. But when I look at my 3-inch builds, it just becomes so unmanageable and also adds unnecessary weight that I started to play around with ExpressLRS. So I did take my Tango 2 Pro and I modified it to include a internal ExpressLRS module. So I'll link you to that video. And you can see the antenna here on the ExpressLRS is just so tiny, and it's more suitable for a 3-inch quad like this. And when I check out these antennas from Team Black Sheep, which are for Crossfire, they're roughly about the same size as the antenna on ExpressLRS. Now, of course, typically the lower the frequency, so ExpressLRS is 2.4 gigahertz, this is 900 megahertz. So the lower the frequency, typically the larger the antenna has to be. So you can see here that there is very little size difference. Let's go ahead and do a weight check. So the full size Immortal T is 3.3 grams, and the tiny FPVCycle antenna is 0.73. Now for the test, you can see I've already swapped over to the tiny antenna. It's mounted at the very front here, and it's attached over to our nano receiver from TBS. And I'll perform the test using the Tango 2 Pro at 250 milliwatt dynamic power. And I will do the exact same kind of testing methodology as when I did the prior antenna. So I'll go ahead, I'll have the quad armed, I'll walk out of the garage, I'll stop at very predetermined house numbers as I go, and we'll see how this particular tiny antenna compares with a full-size antenna. And the garage door closing means that we're off. You're looking at the mini antenna in the top left corner, and then you're looking at the full-size Immortal T antenna in the bottom right. Keep an eye on those two Crossfire signal statistics. The first number is the decibels or signal strength. The second one is the link quality, which is a percentage out of 100. And we're about to hit our first checkpoint, which is the first house that we stop at, 108 feet out. We're seeing the full-size antenna is giving us minus 89 dBms, 100% link quality, whereas the mini antenna is giving us minus 99 and 96% link quality. Now you may think 10 dBms is not much, but bear in mind that 6 dBms is roughly halving of the signal. So 10 dBms is a huge number. And as we're heading further and further out, we're already getting some warnings on the mini antenna for low. Oh, we just saw a loss of signal. And by the second checkpoint, the mini antenna is a lost cause at 12% link quality, and minus 1 to 9 dBm is our receiver sensitivity. So we're done. So we just saw that this antenna didn't really perform very well in the garage test, which may be fine, because it's not designed to give you that same penetration and signal quality as Crossfire is known for. It's designed for really this use case. I've got this tiny 3-inch freestyle, and we've got the antenna back here. So really, it's designed for this. So I'm going to go and do another test where I'm going to fly this in my more typical use case, which is open field, around trees, a couple of metal objects here and there. And this is exactly how I tested the Happymodel EP2 receiver. That's a tiny receiver with the ceramic antenna. So I'll fly this and see exactly how well it performs in a more real-life test versus a garage test, which is more about penetration, signal strength, and so forth. And we're off. Here's our first test with the transmitter set to 250 milliwatt max power and dynamic power turned on. I want you to keep an eye on 3 metrics on the OSD. First one is the link quality. Next one is the dBm, so signal strength. And the last one is the output power of the transmitter. So as we're going here, it's pretty cold, it's very snowy, so we're not going to be doing any flippity-floppities here, just a simple flight to see how this performs. And we're already seeing some link quality warnings, and we're seeing that the radio is already at 250 milliwatts. Even though we're not that far, we're kind of straight ahead. And we just saw a RX loss, which tells me that we had a micro kind of fail-safe, even though again, we're not very far, we're pointing straight at the quad. So definitely having some struggles, and we'll look and see what our minimum link quality was. And again, link quality is the percentage of packets received out of 100. So if we see 60, that means 60% of the packets being sent are estimated to be received. And as we're heading back, we can see that we were at 100 milliwatts for quite a while. And as we land, we see 46% minimum. And now here's a second flight. And in this flight, look at the same metrics, but we've got the transmitter set to 500 milliwatts for max power. So we should see a little bit of better results in this situation. And we're going to take roughly the same path here so we can see 100% link quality. So things are looking way better. We're down to 90s, 80s. But bear in mind, 500 milliwatts is tons of power for Crossfire. So I do this flight on ELRS at 25 milliwatts, and I have really good link quality and metrics. So bear in mind that even though it may seem like it's flying fairly well, we're putting out tons of power. So definitely showing the weakness of this antenna. Lots of link quality warnings, and we're at 500 milliwatts. Like how far am I really? I'm half a football field away from myself, and we're already at 500 milliwatts as the antenna struggles. And we can see here, we're close. The two antennas are pointing together. So we're at 25, and we're already back up to 500. So definitely at 500 milliwatts, we're getting a better flight experience, but that doesn't really paint the whole picture because we shouldn't have to be pushing so much power for this distance. And again, at this point in time, we are at 500. We see link quality coming down a little bit, but we're not getting any RX loss like what we saw with 250. And as we come back home and we land, let's see our minimum link quality. It was 60%. Based on my testing, this antenna, yes, definitely poops all over the Crossfire protocol. Crossfire is supposed to give you really amazing range, amazing link quality, and this completely negates that. Now, I'm sure there's a very good use case for this because we had good signal when we were close to ourselves. So let's say between 100 and 200 feet out, in my particular scenario, this would have worked perfectly fine. But we did start to lose quality and signal strength when we got to the second checkpoint at 242 feet. Now compare that with the full-size Immortal T, where I was able to get in the same exact test, exact same quad, exact same kind of radio settings, I was able to get about 820 feet out, and they still had 100% link quality. So definitely this does impact the signal strength. But again, they told us to expect that. They said, if you're lucky, you'll get 50% range on this. In my test, I think I'm closer to 25%. But again, they told us that. We shouldn't be surprised. And there is a place in the world for this antenna, but it's not for me. And I kind of regret purchasing a whole bunch of these, but live and learn. And I hope this video does help you make an informed decision on whether this antenna is right for you. So make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and stay tuned for more videos.